Hello, I'm Stidmat. I'm here and here's who I am. I graduated from college last December. I have a bachelor's degree in political economy. Love my major. I highly recommend it. If you find somewhere that offers it, do it. If you love making the world a better place through political means and understanding how the economy works, you should totally do it. It's the best major I could ever do. And the reason I did it is because I really enjoy understanding how to help people. I want to understand how to make this world a great place, even better than it is. I want to understand, how do I fight global warming? How do I fight poverty? How do I make it so every single person has opportunity? And so while I'm not working in the field right now because of just where I am in my life, this is a great start, and someday I want to really work full time as a political economist. The biggest thing about political economy that fascinates me is taxes and government spending. Took a lot of really interesting classes in school, and one of the ones that I was most interested in was public finance. We talked about taxing and spending, and that's what I want to talk about today. So there are a couple issues. I'm going to focus on the United States because I'm an American, and maybe someday I'll do something on another country, but starting with the U.S., I'm going to propose a system. But first, there are a couple of problems I'm trying to fix. The biggest problem with the U.S. is it's a complicated tax code. The more money you make, the more you can afford a tax attorney who's able to find you the right deductions, which becomes a very unequal system in that some people get deductions they shouldn't get, and other people don't get deductions they need to get. And this ties in also with our welfare system, food stamps, and etc., becomes a really big problem when people don't get the benefits they are deserving. It increases costs with more administrative fees, and really ultimately most economists believe that it's best to give people cash. People know what they need. If they need food, if they need transportation, they know that, and that's what they're going to get. So if we're wanting to help people fully, what we should do is we should just give them cash, and they can buy what they need using that. So that's the first problem. And the second issue is the Social Security tax structure, where employers pay 6.7% and employees pay 6.7%, or something like that. And then you've got your FICA tax for Medicare as well, which is another flat 1%, but it's not even flat, because people who make above a certain amount don't pay anything, and they don't get benefits either. But this is a really simplistic way of looking at Social Security. The way Social Security is designed, just to get that out, take 30 seconds, is that you get fewer benefits for however much money you make. If you are making under $816 a month, you get 90 cents on the dollar, which isn't a very good rate, to be honest. You're not even breaking even. But then once you get above $816, you get 32 cents up to $4,900 a month, which 32 cents on the dollar, and you consider your return on value, is a very bad return on those taxes. And then once you get above that, up to $97.50, you're only getting 15 cents on the dollar, which means that the big argument people have of, we don't want Bill Gates to pull out massive Social Security checks. Even if we were to eliminate the cap, Bill Gates and all those other billionaires would only be getting 15 cents on the added dollars they put into Social Security, which is a really bad return. I mean, it's like you're not even. It's unbearably small. Yeah, and what we should do is, if we want to balance Social Security, if we wanted to keep it, that's all we'd have to do because of that. But here's the other thing. I'm not even sure I like Social Security as a program, because it is a regressive. It doesn't even give you 100%, dollar for dollar, of what you put in. And it also doesn't, buy a bond. If you have a choice between Social Security and buying bonds, I would buy the bond, because at least you don't lose money usually, depending if inflation's low, which it usually is. So that's the first thing I would do. I would replace Social Security. What I would rather have in its place is a universal basic income. If every person got $5,000 a year every year of their life, then people would be able to do what they wanted, whatever they need. They would get more benefits overall, and it would give younger people the opportunity to take that added income and invest some of it for their future. Because the return on an investment in stocks, or hell, even a bond, would be a significant improvement on Social Security just for the average American. You get more money out of it. And by giving $5,000 a month and helping young people out, I have a bias because I'm 23, but if we had a system where you started off young and you had the really big incentive to invest, you end up with a big portfolio where you get enough interest to support yourself, which is what most people do anyways. It would be a far better system and be a far better way to fight inequality, because that would mean that poor Americans would get a far bigger benefit, and that's what we're really trying to help. And it would reduce our inequality, which is a major problem. And the discrimination aspect, if it's just done through the tax code when you file your taxes, shouldn't be an issue. It would be a lot easier to do it. You just file your taxes and you're done. Easy. So that's what I would replace Social Security with, and it would only cost, crunched all the numbers, and the total cost for that, $5,000 times 310 million people is roughly $1.5 billion per year. But when you're also considering the amount of local taxes and local state government programs wouldn't be redundant at this point and not needed, and you would really benefit Americans, particularly when you consider that states tend to be very regressive in their tax codes. It would be a far better system, and it would save Americans money, because federal taxes aren't even half of the taxes Americans pay, and a lot of those taxes now would be able to just be eliminated. So it would be a better system overall. But then it's like, I'm going to eliminate Social Security. I'm going to put in a $5,000 basic income, which is going to be a lot better for Americans overall. What about the rest of the tax code? Well, this is where it gets really simple. You're going to have your tax rate is going to start negative at around negative 25, around negative 40% if you make $1, if that's your total annual income. And then it keeps going up depending on how much money you make. And the amount of money you get becomes by percentage becomes less and less no matter how much you make. And the way my tax code is designed right now, you would start paying taxes would be over $250,000. So almost every American won't have to pay any taxes. This is because of the extreme inequality in this country. There is no need for most Americans to pay taxes if we just have a tax on the rich, which would max out at around 50%. And by doing that, they're still going to work because they're still making more money than everybody else. But we're going to see a huge decrease in our inequality, and the ability for the average person to get what they need is going to be significantly improved. And the percentiles of like how much money each percentile has for wealth, it's just going to be a more equal society, and that's correlated with gun deaths, and there are other correlates with inequality that I'd love to fix, and this will go a long ways towards solving it. So, without going into all the details of my tax code, I'll share a doobly-doo down below, a link to my blog where I have all the details. When it comes to the expenditure side, we're going to be making about $800 billion from income tax, and this doesn't include all of the, this is after the UBI, but this is still falling short. And this is because I will have one more tax, and that will be a carbon tax for now. And what I would do is I would have a $430 per ton of carbon, which will be I think that would be less than $1 per gallon of gasoline. But by doing that, based on the total emissions for the United States, which will affect everything, whether it's electricity or gasoline, etc., we will raise over $2.4 trillion of revenue just from the carbon tax alone by doing $430 per kiloton of carbon. This is metric, of course. And because metric's better, it's my personal, I'm a scientist, that's what I use. And so by doing that, we'll have total revenue of $3.2 trillion. And since I've eliminated Social Security, and I would also reduce military spending significantly by just cutting all of the bloat and waste for billion-dollar gas stations, and then simplifying our Medicare and Medicaid system by making Medicare something anyone can opt into, which will reduce our overall cost of health care, well, we're going to end up with a program better than ever proposed in the United States. Most Americans are going to get cash for their taxes. We're going to pay far less for our health care. Inequality is going to be reduced. We're going to significantly reduce our carbon emissions, which is boiling our planet and killing us. And through the carbon tax, I'm going to significantly increase funding of science. NSF grants, I'm going to do 10 times the funding to I would throw $100 billion into the National Science Foundation just for grants to scientists around the country, because that's how you grow the economy. And if we want to be competitive in the 21st century, continue to be, that's what we need to do. And by making it so scientists aren't spending so much time writing grants so they can get long-term grants from the NSF, we're going to have a much more efficient economy and get a lot more research done. This is a national security issue. We need to invest in science. Look at my shirt. I have viruses on it. Science is really important to me, even though no matter what your degree is. So, with all of this, there's also going to be a $100 billion surplus because the carbon tax is going to raise a lot of money. In the long run, we might have to increase the income tax sum for most people, make it so more people pay taxes, but for now, that will basically cover everything. Yeah, and those are all the important bits. I have a few smaller taxes on smoking, alcohol, whatever, but yeah, and that will be a fully functional tax code for the United States, and I hope that you guys like it. And I hope that someday we can have a better tax code which is more fair for Americans. Thank you.